Hi my friends, Loco here. For you today, I have the 3-word game. It's basically a concept I shamelessly ripped off from Colin Cowherd, my favorite traditional sport analyst slash radio host. We take League of Legends teams, or the LCS teams in this example, and we describe them in 3 words and we talk about them. And yeah, I think it's a really good way to talk about teams. Just taking 3 words, you can actually say a lot about the teams and go really in depth with it. So without further ado, let's get started. The first team I have for you is Cloud9, and the 3 words to describe them is just a flesh wound.
Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left.
Yes, I have.
Look!
It's just a flesh wound.
So Cloud9's 18-0 run unfortunately came to an end this weekend, and they ended up losing to TSM. And I think a lot of old habits came to the surface. They drafted a comp that was a lot about early game execution, and it didn't go very well for them, and it didn't have the multi-dimensional depth that normally a Cloud9 comp has, especially because they stuck Licorice on Shen. So yeah, they had no real angles to look for other than forward. And another weakness that got exposed was Cloud9's bot lane's unwillingness to play Xayah Rakan. It was TSM's best bot lane duo, and they had a chance to take it away and they didn't. So yeah, I still think Cloud9 are the favorites, and they already locked in first place, so they should use the last few weeks to really work on their mistakes and work on the weaknesses that they might have. I would love to see them pick up Xayah Rakan. I would love to see them play more multi-dimensional flank comps and also play a little bit more towards top side. Their identity has been so heavily focused around Licorice playing weak side, and I know he's a strong carry player that can play top side. And if they happen to match up with TSM in finals, it's really going to come down to who has the stronger top side of the map. So yeah, C9, you guys have been doing great. Just keep working on things that will make you a better team going into playoffs. For TSM, the 3 words I have are team solo laners. TSM solidified their identity this weekend as a top lane focused team. They went 2-0 versus probably the hardest schedule possible in C9 and Flyquest. And it was really good to see TSM finally find footing this season. I think Dardoch's synergy with bot lane has been atrocious.
Still available. Now we're going in. Now it's Dardoch into the bottom side. Flash away coming out from Vulcan, but the explosive cast goes out. MF ulti goes through. Vulcan is still alive, ladies and gentlemen. He manages to stay out of the way of the damage threats, and TSM will not find their mark.
Nisqy roam.
Nisqy's made his way down to the bottom side, looking to grab the kill. Kave barely walking himself away. That's 1 kill going over to Cloud9, nearly able to make it 2. Dardoch should be able to clean this up before Nisqy gets to him. Oh, is this really going to be the outplay? Not quite.
And on the other hand, his synergy with Broken Blade has been really good, and it gives them the strongest top side of the map in the whole league.
Oh, they're going for the dive. Here's the tree man. 3v2. Dunks him out of turret range, but a slow in a Dardoch. They knock back Bjergsen there as well. Then is it going to be enough? The W over the top, and it is. That's first blood in Dardoch. He's going to drop aggro in time onto the Bloblets. And a beautifully executed tower dive by TSM.
Play through your strong lane, and that's what TSM does with a very strong laner in set.
Speaking of Broken Blade, he's been an exceptional player. He's solid in lane and he earns his worth in teamfights. And an additional bonus to TSM figuring out their identity, Bjergsen, who's been the OG carry of TSM in all these past years, is finally coming back to form. He had 2 great games this weekend, one on Zilean, one on Irelia. The Irelia game especially was so good for me to see. He's been taking more of a backseat role due to Broken Blade, but yeah, he's still showing the world that he can still carry. And also, he got his glasses back, which apparently makes him just so much better. TSM for next week and onward, make sure Bjergsen has his glasses. The third team we have is Flyquest, and the 3 words I have for them is Treequest on fire. The start to this year has been great for Flyquest. Their new #GoGreen campaign has really caught on, and Treequest is a welcome new identity compared to what it was last year. #SnickerFam. On the gameplay side, Power Beeble and Ignar have been excellent pickups, and they finally gave Flyquest strong players they can build and play around. However, this weekend did not go well for them, and they ended up going 0-2. Viper's getting exposed more and more as the worst top laner in the league. His KDA across the board this weekend was 1-7-3, and also teams are wising up to Ignar and Centaurian playing heavily around Power Beeble in the early game. It's really hard for Flyquest to do something different in the early game. Viper isn't the strongest laner, nor is Turtle, and also Ignar, while still extremely strong support, doesn't really stay in lane. He spends the most time outside of lane across all support. So yeah, teams are wising up to, hey, Flyquest likes to play around mid in the early game. Long as we prevent that, this is an easy team to run over. So Flyquest need to figure stuff out going into next few weeks. Next up, we have EG. And the 3 words I have for them is all according to Keikaku. EG's start to the season was not what they were looking for. They looked disjointed, they often threw games that should have been won, and Kumo looked like one of the worst players in the league. But now, things are finally coming together. I love the team playing some signature picks this weekend. Kumo with his Jace, Suzuki with his Echo, and Bang's new lady, Senna. He's actually 3-0 on the champion, and I think EG is the only team outside of Cloud9 that's actually able to play this champion and really understands what her strengths are. To add to that, EG's been shining when it comes to objective fights, and playoff is going to be about scaling and big team fights and who wins them. EG's strengths line up really well going into it, so yeah, I'm looking hopeful for this team. The 3 words I have for Immortals is, it's a mystery. How do they do it? How is this team 7-7? Sure, they have a consistent bot lane. Sure, Xmithy, Soaz, these guys are great later on in the game. They make good decisions. Aika is the worst mid laner in the league though. How in the world are you guys 7-7? It truly is a mystery. I have to respect the scoreline. They did pick up these wins. It's not like they were gifted these wins, but in some of the games, that's exactly what it feels like though. They are gifted some of these wins. I will give credit, they do make good decisions later on, but yeah, I think it really speaks to the floor of some of these LCS teams in terms of IMT being able to maintain a 50-50 record. For 100 Thieves, the 3 words I have are Ssumday versus the world. They've been a pretty lackluster team. Meteos hasn't been the Meteos that we know. His early game hasn't been as good, his pathings hasn't been as efficient, and his gank success rate is definitely not what it used to be. As for bot lane, they've also been pretty disappointing. Stunt is still bad after all these years, and Cody, at least he can hold his own in teamfights. And the Realma experiment is going the way of what most people thought it would. He's been looking better in the last few weeks, don't get me wrong, and his Zoe is at least passable. But overall, if you're gonna play mid lane, you have to be so good. Also, Realma's an import. As an import mid laner, these kind of performances just aren't acceptable. There is one shining beacon for 100 Thieves though, Ssumday. He single-handedly won them so many games, and it happened last weekend too. He basically ripped Soaz apart in the Camille Aatrox matchup. He was up 3-0, he got his turret, and yeah, he was probably the only reason that 100 Thieves were able to pick up that win. So, what's the future for 100 Thieves? I really don't know. I do think they're going to keep Cody. I do think they're going to keep Ssumday. But other than that, the rest of the roster leaves a lot to be desired. For TL, the 3 words I have for them is Breaking Point 2. Team Liquid had a disastrous week. Actually, that's an understatement. They had the worst week possible. They lost a 50-minute game to CLG, and it came off the back of their former coach / mid laner, Pobelter, getting a triple kill at the end.
The Elder Dragon still hitting him.
He's behind him.
Pope is behind. Can he find the stun? He flashes. He gets the Guardian Angel. He gets the Elder Dragon. He gets the double kill. He's gonna get the triple as well. Team Liquid will not withstand the power of notorious POB.
And also, they decided to unbench Doublelift just after one game and went in with the full squad versus Immortals. And it was probably the worst gameplay I've seen from CoreJJ and Impact in a long while. The draft was atrocious. Zach last pick into Renekton was just full on int. And to top off the week, Doublelift had a rather spicy interview that had to be reshot and re-uploaded because it was just way too much flame towards their coaches. Now, Team Liquid's in 7th place and they're 1 game behind the 6 teams vying for playoffs, and they still have a match versus Cloud9 left. With in-house drama to figure out and the idea of not making playoffs looming over the top of their heads, we might be getting a sequel to the hit documentary Breaking Point. I hope they bring back that Locodoco character. He was my favorite. For Golden Guardians, the 2 words I have is waste of time. Sometimes management for teams make roster decisions that are baffling for the people outside, like Optic last year picking up Crown after he had a disastrous year in Korea. And sometimes what it means is that the staff had more information or knew something that the public didn't, and it was a really smart choice. The Optic example with Crown. But when the Keith support thing was announced, I was very openly critical. I worked briefly with Keith on TSM when we had to bench Turtle, and I kept in touch with him over the years. Keith is not the smartest player in the world. Keith has always been a mechanics first player, and this support swap just made no sense to me at all. I understand their whole point of, yes, FBI wants to play aggressive in lane, so they need someone with fingers, but Keith's leadership or game knowledge is not there for him to be a support player. And I have to ask Golden Guardians, what did you expect? I think Keith did pretty well considering what he had to work with, and the results were exactly what everyone expected. So yeah, why are you benching him now? Keith wasted about 3 months learning a new role that he's probably never going to play again, and he tanked his rep to the entirety of LCS and the public. It was a waste of time for everyone involved, and I really hope Golden Guardians rethinks about making decisions like this when they're moving on. For Dignitas, the 3 words I have is a very expensive mistake. It's not common that the public learns the details of a contract, but in 2020 offseason, when Dignitas re-upped Huni's contract, it was very public and everyone got to know the numbers. Huni is currently on a 2.3 million 2 years guaranteed contract, and also currently Huni is Dignitas's biggest problem. Johnson has been a pleasant surprise for Dignitas. We never see rookies playing this well. Froggen is holding his own as a mid laner. The control mages that he likes playing are very much on meta. And Grig is no more, and we have Acadian the Chad getting things done in the jungle. Afro honestly could be better, but at least he's not actively contributing to the losses. But Huni, on the other hand,
Dignitas staying together as a group, but here he goes. The pillar is down. The damage comes out. The bullet time goes through. Afromu is the target. A TP's coming in right there into the middle now, but Huni's nearly going to be killed himself. Acadian having to disengage this one, but Stun has grabbed the kill. Johnson is not where you want to see an AD carry be, and 100 Thieves have taken down 2.
He's been a resource hog for Dignitas in terms of jungle and also draft, and honestly, he really hasn't delivered. There's been so many times where Huni's been getting caught or actively forcing a play for his team that just isn't going to go well. And if the team didn't have any other strong pieces to play around, it would make sense. But you have Johnson and Froggen. These guys have actually been doing so well. And also, Grig got replaced for Acadian. They have a solid team. If Huni can take a step back and really look at the kind of damage he's causing the team, I really think this team could be successful. But with him going 0-2 last weekend, I don't think playoff is possible for this team anymore. The last team we have is CLG, and the 3 words I have for them is, let's play spoiler. CLG is officially out of playoffs with what happened last weekend, but their season isn't over yet. They still need to figure out things for the summer, so the work isn't done for them just yet. They subbed in Win this week for Ssumday, and Win didn't look the greatest, and he doesn't speak a lot of English, so it's something they're going to need to figure out for the long term and the summer. Ruin also hasn't been a stellar player, and because he takes up an import slot, that's also something they need to think about too. CLG still needs to try hard for the rest of the split. They need to find answers to all the questions they've been asking the entire split, and yeah, maybe they can spoil some teams' playoff chances along the way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be going on a snowboarding trip this weekend. I'm going to miss you guys all. I love doing YouTube. I love doing Twitch. Don't forget to constantly support me. Twitch.tv/Locodoco. I started streaming again. Full time, guys. And one last thing. I'm not crazy. I'm just Loco. Bye.